The PSP, the PlayStation Portable. Can you believe this thing came out 20 years ago? 2005, at least in North America. 2004 in Japan. It's astonishing how well this has held up over all these years. And not only that, but it really still feels like a device that could have come out today and nobody would bat an eye. I think most people would still think it looks kind of futuristic, even in 2025. The PSP was so ahead of its time that even some of the features that we saw in this portable handheld got carried over to the modern day smartphones. Not only was this a handheld gaming machine like the Nintendo DS that was around at the time, but of course you could also play movies, you could watch videos, you could listen to music, you could put pictures on here, you can share pictures with friends, there was a full-blown internet browser, there was even a GPS component at one point and a camera. I mean, this thing pretty much was kind of the original version of a smartphone on the go, just without the connectivity of a cellular tower. This right here is the original PSP 1000, also known as the FAT version of the PSP. This was the very first version, and in my opinion, this is my favorite version of the PSP, mainly because of its size and weight. I absolutely love the love handles on the back, no pun intended, and I really just like the feeling of it in the hand. It's a little bit more heavy than any of the other models that came after it, and yes, there are other models of the PSP. I have one right over here that is in working condition. This version does turn on, but sadly the UMD drive is broken, so I cannot play any games on it, so it's really just a showpiece in my collection, and I wanted to show it for this video. And the PSP just screams elegance. Everything from the chamfered edges stainless steel look of the PSP logo on the back to the wonderful 4.3-inch LCD display on the front. Now, 4.3 inches doesn't seem very big in today's standards of smartphone screens, but if you look at it compared to other devices on the go at this time, 4.3 inches was pretty revolutionary, and it's a very beautiful screen for what you got. I also really like that they tried to make it look kind of like a portable Walkman or like a boombox with these kind of like speaker grill at the top, even though there's no speakers in that spot. The speaker's actually down here. I always thought that was kind of funny, but it all in all, it just screams PlayStation. You got the directional pad on the left side, you got the square, triangle, circle, X buttons we've come to know and love on the right side, you get the start and select, you have a couple extra options for the device like the volume and the screen brightness, the home button, and we have this little guy down here, which was actually an analog stick, believe it or not. Yes, it only protrudes like a couple centimeters out from the device, but technically it is an analog stick, and it does work for the most part, but it's very stiff, and most people were not a fan of it. Personally, I didn't mind it, and I think it worked for what it was, and I give them props for even trying. We do have two shoulder buttons on the top as well, a left and a right, but if you've played PlayStation games in the past, getting rid of R2 and L2 really felt very odd, and most games sadly ran into control issues without them, but I can see that they were trying their hardest to not make it any thicker than it already was, so getting rid of those extra shoulder buttons was sadly a must. Moving to the top, we do have some extra ports and switches. So on the left side here, we do have the open switch for the UMD drive, and this was kind of the infamous biggest issue with the PSP. Most people did not like having to lug around these giant UMDs, which were for your games and movies. And yeah, Sony was just trying to become something new, I guess, and create a brand new format that everybody was going to follow suit with. Yeah, didn't work out too well, did it? The UMD sadly is dead. It is a dinosaur at this point, and it makes sense why they got rid of it. There's just so much mechanical failure that can happen with this disk drive, and sadly that's what's happened with this model here, and with many that followed suit. So yeah, the UMD was really interesting, and I'm kind of glad it went away, but I'm also kind of saddened because in a way I did like it. A little part of me did. Other than that, we have the mini USB on the top here. It's even before the micro USB, so that's how old this thing is. It did work for data transfer as well as connecting optional accessories that included the camera. That's what these little holes are for. They're kind of like these little pin screws. So you could connect a camera to this to take selfies, or I think you could like move it to the back and take pictures away from you as well, which is really cool. As well as the GPS connector, so you could put this in your car and use it as a literal GPS unit. Very cool, and apparently it still works even in 2025. Sadly, I don't have that here to test. And I believe this was an antenna for the Wi-Fi adapter. I could be wrong. I don't think it had an IR blaster. That's kind of what it looks like. but I believe that's an antenna for the Wi-Fi. Because yes, this did have built-in Wi-Fi, believe it or not. You could connect it to the internet, use it online for games, or of course with the internet browser. Going over to this side, we have the memory card port. So this was another big infamous piece of tech that people really hated when it came to the PSP. It was these really cruddy memory stick duo memory cards. This is a 32 megabyte card, so yes, very small. The other one of my other PSP is a 2 gigabyte, still not that big, but it does hold more than this, obviously. But yeah, coming from the standard PS1 and PS2 memory cards that were proprietary, Sony decided to do the exact same thing and sell proprietary memory cards that were extremely expensive and held little to no data. So obviously became a lot of e-waste and people just really hated it. And that's why most people these days homebrew their PSPs and they, you know, hack them and put stuff on them that way. But it's kind of a bummer that we were stuck with these memory stick duos that were hard to find, expensive, and didn't hold much data. So it was a trifecta of just ass. And then we have the WAN switch or the Wi-Fi switch, so you can turn the internet off or on if you'd like to save on battery. And then down here on the left side, we have a loop for a lanyard. So if you wanted to keep it on your wrist so it wouldn't fall, kind of a neat little idea. And then we have the 3.5mm headphone jack for your headphones, and then a proprietary connector, which this was an adapter for you could plug it into a big screen television. I believe it upscaled to 720p HD. It might have been 480 at the time. I don't really remember at the top of my head, but this was the coolest thing ever. I remember buying this accessory, being able to play my PSP games on the big screen. At the time, I mean, it was like 32 inches. It wasn't a huge screen, but being able to blow it up like that and play it without much of an issue or any type of lag or performance hit was actually pretty amazing for the time. So yeah, and now we have the Nintendo Switch, for instance, or the Steam Deck that you can also do the same thing. But this was one of the very first iterations of that, so pretty neat. On the bottom, nothing really to show. And then we have the charging port on the right side, again, proprietary. This thing was all proprietary. I mean, if you have these in today's market, you know as well as I do, you got to go out and buy a lot of accessories to make them work because they do break down over time, not including the batteries. We'll get that in a second. But yeah, that is a proprietary charger. Kind of a bummer. And on the right side, we have the power switch / hold switch. So you can hold it if you don't want it going off in your pocket or your purse or backpack or whatever. And then you can also put it into sleep mode and resume where you left off, which was, again, kind of revolutionary for the time. And other than that, we just have the battery compartment in the back. And the battery compartment was for the removable lithium-ion batteries, which were synonymous for failing and overheating. If I can get this battery pack off the back here. There we go. And also just getting bloated and exploding. I wish I was exaggerating. Now, these things were very dangerous. This is actually an aftermarket, as you can tell. It doesn't say Sony branding on it. This is from eBay. But yeah, all the proprietary original Sony batteries were just known and prone to fail. And that was probably one of the biggest issues next to the UMD, in my opinion, for the PSPs, was their batteries. They didn't hold the charge very long. You were lucky to get 3 hours of gameplay out of them. And not only that, but they just didn't have a good shelf life. I mean, maybe 5-6 years at the most, and you'd have to go out and get a new battery. And that's with very minimal usage. If you use your PSP a lot, you were looking at like 2 to 3 years at the most. So yeah, not the best batteries, but at least they were removable, thank God. Imagine these were like soldered to the motherboard or something. You had to replace the whole machine. So looking at you, Nintendo. So yeah, that was at least a nice thing with the PSP. You could swap these out, but they, of course, were not cheap. So yeah, this was the PSP 1000. Like I stated, this was the original model. Now let's move over to my working model that actually does turn on at the moment and does have a game inside. This is the PSP 3000 model. You're also going to hear audio from it as well. And I love this thing. I still use it to this day because, like I said, it kind of still holds up even in 2025, which is pretty astonishing. The biggest differences from the 1000 model to the 2000 and then the 3000 was a better display, just a little bit brighter, a little bit clearer. I don't think it was any bigger, but yeah, just clearer, brighter, better speakers. I believe it also had a little bit better performance. I could be wrong with that one, but the major thing was the lightness. I mean, this thing is way slimmer, as you can tell. They got rid of my precious love handles, and they added a more piano black finish, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't think this looks nearly as clean as the original, kind of that matte black plastic. Yeah, it looks more premium, I guess, when it's brand new, but as soon as you start using it, the fingerprints ruin it. So I'd much rather have the look of the PSP 1000 personally, but that's what you got with the 3000 was the piano black. You also got rid of the switch for the UMD drive. You just had this little fingernail hook, I guess, and you pull it out manually. So it felt a lot more chintzy, just it felt like it would break a lot easier, and sadly it did. Whereas on the original, you had the switch that did it for you. It was a lot more clean, it felt more professional. They had to cut back on a lot of stuff, not only to lower the price point, but also, of course, to make it lighter and slimmer. So a lot of you would probably argue that you prefer the lighter and slimmer model, and I totally get it. My biggest thing, and the reason I like the PSP 3000, is the display. It just is above and beyond better than the original. It's brighter, it's more vivid, you name it. It's just better in all aspects. But with all that being said, a PSP is nothing without its games. So I actually have quite a bit of UMDs still saved to this day. Right now, inside of it, I have Flat Out Head On. We'll do some gameplay testing for this video. But I also have a couple other UMDs in this little case here that I got a couple, maybe like 10, 15 years ago. I doubt you can even find these on eBay anymore. But the cool thing about this is it's magnetic. And it does have two different compartments. So on the top part, you have a compartment for 4 different games, as you can see. And like I said, they are magnetic. So you just lay it in there and it sticks right in place. And then on the opposite side, you can put 4 more UMDs. So it holds 8 total. And it's kind of wild to think about that, with how thick this thing is. And that it only held 8 games. So yeah, again, UMDs were not the best format for video games on the go. I will admit that first and foremost. But yeah, I have a couple games here that I still play from time to time. Burnout Legends is amazing. Twisted Metal Head On is obviously a mainstay for the channel. Arctic Edge Motorstorm is a really great game for the portable system. God of War, Chains of Olympus, Medieval, Hot Shots Golf is always fun. Ape Escape, you know how it is. And then of course Flat Out. And yeah, you can open both sides at the same time if you are crazy. But I really love this case. It's very easy, it's compact, it's magnetic, it feels pretty premium. I just wish that they were easily available to this day. They're just not. And looking a little bit more closely at the UMD drives, you can see where they were going with this. They really wanted to showcase the artwork of the disc. These were about the same size as a GameCube game, if you played those back in the day, but they were in this kind of really cheap plastic shell. I cannot tell you how many of these I've broken over the years and had to rebuy the game because these things would snap open or they'd crack or you name it. The disc would never really break. I never had a problem with scratching the disc or anything, but these stupid shell cases broke so often. They were just so useless. So yeah, that's why the UMD went extinct even before the PSP went extinct. The PSP, the last model really before the PSP Vita, the second version came out, went fully digital because even Sony back then knew the UMD was going to die. People didn't want to carry games on the go anymore. They wanted everything in their pocket. They went with the PSP Go, which sadly was also a failure. And that, of course, had to do with the proprietary memory sticks. If they just would have switched to like a micro SD card or something like that, they probably would have been fine. But of course, they had to be proprietary in some way, shape, or form, and Sony ruined it once again. But tangent aside, UMDs were really cool looking for the time, but there was just too much manufacturing involved. They broke too easily, and they were just way too fragile and annoying to keep around. They're too big as well. So all around, UMDs, big L, but man, do they look cool. So with all that being said, let's boot into the game and see some gameplay on this little thing. So Flat Out Head On is one of my favorite games on the PSP. And like I said, to this day, I still come back and play it whenever I'm bored and if I'm on the go even. But Flat Out Head On for the PSP was actually just a port of Flat Out Ultimate Carnage on the PC and Xbox 360 at the time. It is a direct port. Everything you have in the Ultimate Carnage version is in here on the PSP. And this was actually my first iteration of that game. I didn't even know Ultimate Carnage was a thing because I had Flat Out Head On and I played this one the most. But yeah, it's really just it's kind of ironic because it's like a remake of a remake. So Ultimate Carnage is already a remake of Flat Out 2 with extra content, new vehicles, new levels, stuff like that. And then they ported it to the PSP. So yeah, it's kind of like a remake of a remake in a way if you think of it that way. But let's just jump into a game. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this while looking at the screen while I'm recording, but I'm going to try my absolute best to not totally fail while I'm giving you commentary on this. But as you can see, the loading screens are actually pretty fast too. I'm not editing this out at all. We're going to keep the loading screens in so you get a feeling of how it was back in the day. Again, 2005, mind you, of playing on a portable system, whether you're on the go, whether you're in school or something. I used to have one during lunch. when I was in like middle school. And yeah, these things were amazing for the time. And they really turned a lot of heads from back in the day, from what I remember. So yeah, here's the loading screen. It's a good idea, or a good example of what it's like loading into a game on a UMD. You guys won't be able to hear it in the video, but the UMD is going into overdrive. I can hear it spinning in there. And yes, in a quiet room, you could easily hear when someone was using a PSP. That was probably one of the biggest, well, I say that a lot, but it's probably one of the issues people had with the PSP was just the noise it made. But that wasn't too bad, to be honest. Most games loaded pretty quickly on the go back then, but when you're getting these kind of graphics on a handheld system in 2005, mind you, it's pretty astonishing how fast that actually loads in. And now, you might not be able to tell on the video because I'm using a camera to record the screen right now. This is running probably at a solid 30 FPS, maybe a little bit lower than that at times, but I've always been pretty shocked at how well this game ran on a handheld system, and it looks really good. The graphics still hold up to this day. I was astonished even going back to Flatout 2 the other day on my PC, and how good those games look back then. But yeah, being able to run this on a portable handheld is pretty crazy. But yeah, when you start getting into some areas like this with a lot of objects, the frames really do drop. And it's one of those luxuries we have nowadays, you know, where every game runs at 60 FPS or higher. So going back to 30 FPS, you really notice those frame drops. And if you're like me, you're kind of eagle-eyed for that kind of thing, and you really notice the differences. And man, it is hard to drive on this little display. Let's try a little analog. Let's try this little guy. It does work, but man, it is stiff. I forgot how stiff this thing is to use. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like a regular traditional analog either. It just feels like a flat plane that you're moving back and forth. So it's really just a barely... it's barely an upgrade to the directional pad, if I'm being honest with you guys. For the most part, I don't remember using this analog very often unless I was doing racing games. And even then, man, it's pretty rough. But all around, you can get used to it. You know, I haven't played this in a little while, but you can get used to playing this on the go and with these controls. And yeah, I think I beat this entire game on the PSP as well. Man, that's crazy how good this looks, though. It literally looks like a PS2. And that, at the time, was the PSP. It was the portable PS2. And then when the Vita came out, it was the portable PS3. And there's rumors that we might be getting a new one. You know, a portable PS5. I mean, that'd blow my mind if that was even possible. So you never know. That might be coming soon. Maybe Sony might be watching these kind of videos and be like, well, people want this kind of stuff. We like portable handhelds. I like messing around with these on the go. And I love my Steam Deck. I love messing with emulators and stuff too. And if you're able to do that on the PSP or a new PSP, you know, I'm in. Sign me up. I'm sorry about the scan lines. I can't really do a whole lot about it. It's really just my camera and the display. With these older LCD displays, they do not look very good on modern day cameras running at higher frame rates. So yeah, you're gonna see a little bit of messiness with the scan lines there. And with the PSP, one thing you might notice is that it looked like the XMB bar that we had on the PlayStation 3 back in the day, which I still stand by saying it is the best user interface for any console of all time. Sony needs to bring it back. The new UI they have for the PS4 and the PS5 is ass. I hate it. The XMB bar was amazing, and they had it on the PSP as well. It actually started here, which is pretty sick. The only downside, though, is you can't go to it when you're in a game, which kind of makes sense. I mean, that would have been pretty astonishing if you could look at the XMB while in the game. But yeah, you have to quit to go back to the main menu. They also have a volume rocker, as you saw there. You can go up and down on the fly, which is really nice. And then they have this little button here that lets you change the brightness between, I think, 4 different settings. This is the brightest setting, lowest, second lowest, third lowest, or third highest, I guess, and then highest. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm gonna leave it on like level 2, I think, for the video. This button, I believe, changed the volume or the presets for the audio. There was like a dance mix, a rock mix, flat mix. Pretty cool if you're listening to music that had a built-in equalizer like that. And then, of course, your start and select. Very neat. Now let's just go into a derby real quick to end out this video. Do some little bit of destruction and actually play on a game mode that's a little bit easier to do while I'm recording. Okay, here we go. Starting it out. This is just a destruction derby. Last man alive wins. Trying to run into the enemies. And it's a lot of fun. This was probably my favorite game mode that I played the most on the go. You know, you're on the bus or something. You got like 5-15 minutes. Just pull this out. start up a match, and you can usually get through within 5 to 10 minutes, probably max, I would think. But yeah, a lot of fun on the go, and it still holds up, man. The graphics look great. Another good one was Burnout Legends. That was a great game on the go. Essentially just Burnout 3 remastered or whatnot onto the PSP. It looked great. It ran really smoothly. The frame rate did not dip at all from what I remember. And granted, these games are all going to be running at 30 FPS. You're not going to get 60 FPS on a handheld like this back in the day. But yeah, even 30 FPS looks very good on this 4-inch display. And I also was pretty astonished by the sound quality back in the day for this thing. I mean, even the speakers are pretty decent. I'd play some music for you all, but I just can't because of copyright. But yeah, the music jukebox in this thing was pretty astonishing for the time. Video quality was pretty decent. I watched a couple of movies on this. I used to have UMDs of like Napoleon Dynamite, The Matrix, and stuff like that. And I'd watch those when I was on road trips. It was awesome for those. But again, just it was held back because of the UMD. You had to wait for those movies to come out on UMD, and barely any studios wanted to put money into it. So it really didn't get that big of a catalog for the movies. And nowadays, I think it's pretty expensive to find them online. They're pretty rare. So if you're one of those people watching this video and you have UMD movies, hold on to them. Keep them like treasure because they are going to be worth a lot of money, if not already. Oh my god. Holy crap. I'm genuinely having a good time right now. I'm not even really paying attention to the video. I'm just trying to win. That just goes to show. Flat Out is a really good game, and it's a lot of fun on a handheld that's 20 years old, mind you. Man, it just makes me feel so old. Seeing how good we had it even 20 years ago. It's pretty amazing. And maybe there's people watching this video that weren't really alive back then, or maybe you were too young to remember the PSP, and you're just now getting into it. You know, you're going back on eBay and buying used ones and giving them a try, and that's amazing. I love to see that. If you're one of those people, you know, if you are Generation Z and you are just getting into the PSP game, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you and hear your thoughts on seeing this ancient technology being used in 2025. And yeah, what's it like compared to like an iPhone or something they get these days? Almost got you, man. We're both almost dead. This is really risky, but I'm gonna try to turn around and get his ass. Goodbye. Oh lord, he has one tap. I could flick him right now and he'll die. He might even end up getting killed himself because he runs into something hard enough, he will. Nope. Yes, there we go. We got a W. We take those. Oh man, still a lot of fun. I love this game. Still holds up in 2025. Absolutely insane. So yeah, we'll click back to the main menu here. We'll see how long that takes for this to load. And you can, man, that UMD is going crazy in there. And that actually wasn't too bad. So yeah, if you got to school or whatnot and you had to exit out of there real quick, you could do that. Again, you could pop in a movie. You could listen to some music. I'm going to mute the music for this portion just because I don't want to get any copyright issues. But I want to show you the music player really quick because this is actually really cool from what I remember. So yeah, kind of like Windows Movie Maker, or like not Movie Maker, but Windows used to have a built-in sound equalizer just like this. And man, I love seeing this. This brings back so many memories. I think you could also change it, if I remember right, to different versions. So you have a lot of options here: skip track, next track, reverse, fast forward, pause, stop, display, sleep timer, visual player. Here we go. But yeah, look at this. Oh my god, there's so many. That's like the animated background. Yeah, you have the equalizer. Some crazy like bubble effects. My favorite. This is my favorite one because you can change the color of it. Another equalizer thing. Just like some lights dancing around the green background. Not sure what that one is. And then you can have set to random, which is cool. But yeah, I love this one because there is a way to change the color. I don't remember how to do it. It might be in my system settings, possibly. But yeah, you could have it whatever color you wanted. Mine's set to pink for some reason. But yeah, very cool. Love, love, love the visual player there. Really neat. And then you can put cameras, or you can have the camera accessory, put photos on here and share them with friends. Digital comics, I guess. There was so much you could do with the PSP. And yes, they did have online connection. There was even friends you could add on here. I believe there was also ways to send messages at one point. I could be remembering that incorrectly. Remote play. Yeah, that's right. You could do remote play on a PS3 mind you. Like, you know how you can, this day you have the PlayStation Portal, so you can connect to your PS5 and play it on the go? The PSP could do that back in 2006 when the PS3 came out. Insane. Skype, oh man. Location-free player, online, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's kind of outdated and not really used anymore, but still pretty neat. There also was a PlayStation Store. You could go through and buy games, play them on here digitally. I remember downloading Twist Metal 2 on here and playing that on the go through the PlayStation Store, which is pretty dope. So, yeah, the PSP. I can say it a million times, but it'll never not be any more true that it was insanely ahead of its time. So, yeah. So that was the PSP, or the showcase of it in 2025. I really hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video. I know it's more laid back. It's not super edited or anything crazy, but if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know in the comment section below. I'll check out more handhelds or any other nostalgia type consoles from back in the day. I would love to do more videos on these type of things. And yeah, make sure to leave a like, share, support as always. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Hopefully see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Hey guys, After Video Nick here. I just wanted to give a quick little shout out to my channel members over here. These are the amazing supporters that are keeping my lights on, because if you don't know, I am a full-time content creator. I do live stream usually 4 times a week on this channel as well as on my Twitch, so be able to check those out if you have not already. But other than that, I do make content from time to time like this, and these people are helping keeping the channel afloat. So if you also would like to support the channel, that is the best way to do so. Become a member today by clicking the little join button below every single video. For $4 a month, you can help keep my lights on and help keep the content flowing. You also get access to previous VODs from my previous streams. You get access to members-only videos, members-only posts in the community section, as well as you get access to my emotes in the channel for comments and during my live streams. So yeah, if you'd like to help out, that is how to do it. Thank you so much. I love you guys and hope you have a wonderful day. Later.